Hi everyone, welcome. In this video, I am going to show you how to find the maximum and minimum values of the elements in an array. For that, let us take an example of an array of 5 elements. And this is an array of 5 elements. You can see here, as the array length is 5, the index starts with 0, the array index starts with 0 and ends with 4. And here we have array of length 5. Now, we wanted to find the maximum and minimum elements from this array. And first, let's concentrate on finding maximum value from this array. And for that, let's start with the first element. We don't know which is the maximum value, so let's start with the maximum element. Let's assume the maximum element is the first element, a of 0. Let's call this as the maximum one. And now what we are going to do is, next we will compare this element with the next element in the array, that is 30. So how are we going to compare is 30 greater than 20 is what we are going to do. If it is true, then we will make 30 as the maximum. So in this case it is true, so we need to make 30 as maximum. Then we'll go to the next element and check if 10 is greater than the maximum, current maximum. Current maximum is 30. Is 10 greater than 30? No. Then we'll ignore. We'll go to the next element, 50. Is 50 greater than 30? Yes, true. In that case, we'll make 50 as the maximum. Whenever the condition is true, then we'll make maximum as that element. Next, we'll go to 40. Is 40 greater than 50? No. Are there any more elements in the array? No. So we'll stop here, and that's how we can conclude the maximum element in the array is 50. In the same way, what we are going to do is we'll find minimum value as well. So for minimum, what we are going to do is we'll first, as we don't know which one is the minimum, so we'll first assume that the first element in the array is the minimum value. So for that, what we'll do is, let me put it here. This is my minimum value. And then we'll take the next element and we'll compare if minimum is smallest element. So this time what we'll check is next element 30 less than 20 is what we are going to check. Is 30 less than 20? No. So we'll just ignore it and we'll go to the next element in the array. Is 10 less than 20? Yes. In this case, it is true. Then we'll make 10 as the minimum value. Now we'll go to the next element in the array, 50. Is 50 less than 10? No. We will just ignore it and we'll go to the next element, 40. Is 40 less than 10? No. False. So, and there are no more elements in the array. And we can conclude that minimum element here in this array is 10. That is how we are going to find out maximum and minimum elements in the array. Now let's apply the same logic in a Java program. Let me create a new Java class. We'll name it as max min elements of an array. We'll take the main method, finish. We'll declare an integer array and we'll have values, the same values which we took in the example, 50 and 40. Now we'll have two variables, max, and we'll initialize the maximum value to the first element in the array. In the same way, we don't know at starting which is the minimum value, so we'll assume the first element in the array is the minimum value, and then we'll start a loop. Here I'll write a for loop with the index starting with 0. Actually, we don't need to start with 0 as we already read the element with index 0 already. With 0, we took it as maximum and minimum. So we wanted to compare with the next element in the array. So I'll start the index with 1 and then till all the elements in the array are read. That is array length. A dot length gives us the length of the array. So length of the array here is 5. So till that time, we will loop this we'll actually wanted to do this comparison for all the elements in the array. So this is the loop. Now here we'll write a condition. We wanted to find the maximum value first. So if a of I is current element in the array is greater than the maximum value, the current maximum value whichever I am assuming as maximum. If the current element in the array is greater than that element, then I'll make my maximum as the current element. The same logic which we discussed, I am writing it here in the logic. So this makes this. Now what happens is maximum will be the current element if only the current element is greater than the maximum value, current maximum value, then we will make the maximum as the current value. And if it is false, then we'll just ignore it. And go to the and increment the index and check the next element in the array. This is what we are going to follow. With this, at the end of reading all the elements, if you see at a dot length is 5, so the loop continues for 4 times, starting with 1 and I less than 5. So till 4, index is 4, it continues this loop for 4 times, and once this comes out of this loop, we'll be having the maximum element in the max variable. We can say maximum element in the array is max. This is how we can find the maximum element in the array. And how to find the minimum element in the array? Same logic. So we are going to write another for loop, where again index starts with 1, as we already assuming the first element to be the minimum value, and it has to run for all the indexes. So we are taking length of the array, and this time our condition will be a of I, my a of I is less than minimum. Then we will make minimum equal to a of I. So this time we are taking less than symbol, because whenever the current element is less than what we are assuming as a minimum element, then we should take that element, we should treat that element as the minimum value. That's the reason I am assigning the current element. Current element in the sense, at any point of time, a of I represents the current element in the array. So that element we are assuming, that element we are assigning it to the minimum variable. So this loop continues again like 4 times, as we discussed in the logic. And then once the loop is done, we'll have the element in the min variable. So we can print it as minimum value, minimum element in the array is min. This is how we can find the maximum and minimum elements in the array. Now let us execute this and verify. And we can clearly see here maximum element in the array is 50, minimum element in the array is 10. This is how we can find maximum and minimum elements in the array. Now let us try to make this optimize. Let us optimize this program. So what we are going to do now is, anyway we are going to find maximum and minimum elements in the same array from the same array, but we are reading the array 2 times. Once for reading finding maximum element, and second time we are using for loop to find the minimum element in the array. Instead of that, what we can do is, let me copy this for loop. Let's try to achieve this with one for loop. I'll comment the earlier logic. Now let us try to optimize the code, and let us try to achieve the maximum and minimum elements with one for loop. So observe now. So first of all, what we are going to do, the same. The first element we'll treat it as both maximum and minimum, or my first element in the array. Then to find the maximum element, we'll run the same for loop. Same like index starts with 1 and till all the elements in the array are completed. We'll run the same for loop, but this time if you observe, if a of I greater than max, then the current element, if the current element is greater than my maximum value, then I'll assign the maximum value as that element. And if it is not true, then what we are going to do is, we are going to write the condition here. A of I, if A of I, okay, that is fine. If it is false, meaning the current element is not more than the maximum value, that is fine. We can ignore it. But what we wanted to find now is if that current element is it less than my minimum value. If it is so, then I wanted that minimum value to be assigned into my min variable. The same condition, if you observe, the same condition we are writing as else if. Because if this condition is false, meaning we don't the current element is not more than max, that is fine. But if the current element, if it is less than minimum value, that we are checking here itself. And if it is really minimum less than the current minimum value, then we want that value to be called as minimum value. That's the reason we are assigning the current element into the min variable. And that's all. So if you see here, we are done with one for loop. And this loop, we read one element in the each time we read one element in the array, and if it is greater than maximum, we'll assign it here. And we don't need to compare this, as the element itself is like greater than maximum, so it can't be less than minimum. So in that case, we'll not have this else if. Only if it is less than, if this condition is false, we'll come here and verify if that current element is less than minimum value. If it is so, we'll assign the min value to that element. And this continues till all the elements in the array are read. And once it is done, we'll just print both maximum and minimum elements. Just print maximum element in the array, and minimum element in the array will be stored in the min variable. Now let us execute and verify. And you can see here maximum element is 50, minimum element is 10. We can also debug this. Let me toggle the breakpoint. Just double click on the line wherever we wanted to pass the execution. I'll target here and let me run it. Run debug as Java application. F6, or you can use the icon here, step over icon. I is 1 and A of I is 30 here. A of 1. A of 1 is 30, and is 30 greater than max is what we are seeing here. 30 greater than max. Max is, you can see here. You can see here maximum value is 20. So the current maximum value is 20, and if 30 is greater than 20, yes, it is true. Now what should happen? It should enter into the if loop. Yeah, it entered, and now the maximum value will be 30, and you can see max value changes to 30 here, and it will continue to the loop, and it will go to the next element in the array. So I becomes 2 now. You can see here 2. A of 2 is 10. Is 10 greater than 30? False. Now you can see here it goes into the else if, and it verifies if 10 less than the current minimum value. Yes, so it entered into the loop and minimum value is 10. Now the same is continued. If you see here, I becomes 3. A of 3 is 50. 50 greater than 30 is true. So this time it should enter into the loop, and maximum becomes 50. You can see here maximum became 50. Now it again goes back to the loop, and I index becomes 4. A of 4 is 40. Is 40 greater than 50? No. It comes into the else if. Is 40 less than 10? No. So it goes back to the loop. Now index becomes 5, and is 5 less than 5? No. So it should come out of the loop. Yeah, it comes out of the loop and prints the maximum value. You can see it here, and it prints the minimum value 10. That's all. So this is how we can find the maximum and minimum elements in a given array. That's all for this video. Thanks for watching.